Hey, good morning. It's Eric. I'm making a game. That game is called the Godkiller. Uh, where is this game at right now? Where is this game at right now? Well, let me go back to the status screen briefly. So the engine is pretty much done. It's pretty much all wrapped up. There are some things left to do on that, but for the most part, it's generation of content, and I'm creating levels. I've got some media creation in front of me. Some of this stuff may get contracted out, and then probably some more playtesting, particularly with brand new users who are unfamiliar with the mechanics of this game, and seeing how smooth I can make those initial levels to get people into the game. And then next year, I want to do some pitching to publishers to see what's possible there. Because what I would ideally like to do is present a low-risk situation to a publisher where the game is essentially complete. All you have to do is add media to make it a more interesting experience and full-fledged. So that's what I'm driving towards for the moment, is getting not the game completely finished, but getting the game into good pitchable form, which really means getting it like about 90% finished. And then let's do a demo. I try not to talk too much at the beginning. I like to give a demo early on, a recent progress made, and then after that I go into normal work mode. Now, a lot of people drop off after I get the demo. As far as people watching this as a recorded video, which after this stream is done, I just post on YouTube. So yeah, also I'm waking up a little bit. It's morning for me. Okay, this is a new level. It's maybe about halfway done, and I made updates to the engine along this level for it to, I guess I should say this level is an exploration of game element behavior. So I'm making the level which is influencing the game element, which is influencing the level. So there's a bit of iteration there. The idea is that these chuckers, who are the new game element I'm talking about, they will throw a block at you if you are in front of them. But it's kind of like they've got inertia. So like after you've left the square, they're already committed to pushing, so they push even though you've gone. So you'll see them being one turn late. But if instead of moving off of the square that's in their path, I stay in it, like maybe just trying to go east, it throws me into some spikes on the other side. This is another issue with the game that is bugging me a little bit. I don't slow down to show how you died. I just take the player back to the egg. And it's got some advantages to it. It really does. It keeps the game feeling fast. It also allows there to be some mystery for you to work out about what the contents of the level are and the area where you died at. But yeah, I've got my doubts about it being good. Anyways, I'm not going to solve that problem today. I'll keep going through the level. Okay, so the deal is you want to avoid west-east movement horizontal from the screen viewpoint when you're on one of the rows that these dudes are chucking along. So inside this level, but here, by the way, is your discovery of what was killing you when you got pushed all the way east. So on this level, there's also a little trench here that you can get inside of. That particular trench isn't that helpful. This one is. Lets me get further west. Then I can come back down this way. Okay, and these guys are ambushing me. They're beards. So they're going to run at me. Can't really get past them. The aim is to take them down this way for my own ambush. They get knocked by the same block that was aiming for me, but it hits them instead. That one I spaced wrong. Oh, he's down, hiding in the trench. There, I got him. Okay. So now they should all be down there, out of my hair. So that's it. That's the level. The other stuff I did yesterday, and some touch-ups on other levels, and then the fling guide, I made it so that it was just a little more robust, and actually there were two algorithms that were being used. One was being used for your actual flinging movement. Another was being used to display the fling guide, which is those pinkish red dots showing where you'll go when you fling. Since they weren't the same algorithm, sometimes your actual results would be different than the predicted results. So I made it so that both use the same algorithm. All right, so that's my demo. I've got an uneasy feeling. I mean, it's cognitive dissonance, basically. So you get this a lot of times with things that you create. You have an idea that it's really great, and you start noticing around the edges little things that say otherwise. Just little things. And that's where the cognitive dissonance comes in. And to make it worse, it's subjective. It's like you'll never find the truth of it for art, for things that have subjective entertainment value. You'll never find the truth of it, because it's true that it doesn't compare well to the very best AAA games out there, and the graphics you get with those. That's going to always be true. Relatively speaking, it's always going to suck in some way. It's true also that it's a fun game to play. There's no doubt about that. It's true also that it's unique. Although these things they're all relative. Like, somebody's going to play this and they're going to dislike it. It won't meet their expectations. It won't be fun. The new things that are in it will be annoying. there's always that group of people there. So all these statements about what is this thing I'm looking at are both true and false. All the statements that you can make about it. Then when you work on it for a long time, there's one gauge that's going to fail, which was a very useful gauge in the beginning of development, which is, does this game feel fun to me? Okay? It's like if you go on a run and you enjoy running, there's a little bit of work at the beginning, and then you kind of get into this really nice, pleasant feeling about the running. It's hard, but it feels good, right? And then after a certain point, when you push past that comfortable zone, you start to feel the worst kind of fatigue possible, and it colors everything. I'm not that fatigued yet, but I will be. And I'm guarding against a certain kind of despair that I know starts to creep in around that period. So at some point, you have to do the best you can to guard a certain quality level, and give up on insisting upon that feeling that the game is going to make you feel like it's something wonderful, and you'll love it every day you work with it. And you just get grim and workmanlike, and you finish the thing. And you sort of hope that the decisions you made when you were early on in love with the game mode were good enough that they guided you correctly when you were very tired of making that game at the end. I'm saying this from experience. I'm not making up some bullshit. Released a few games before. Alright. Right now I still feel pretty damn good about this game. At some point I'm going to hate it, but I'll keep going anyways. And that'll be fine. And then there'll be a beautiful day when I get it released. And I know what that feels like. You just... Anyways, share more about that later. Let's get to work. So to start with, I'm going to do some house cleaning. I've got a little bit of some junky code that I don't like that much. I put in quickly just to test out something. And while I was doing it, I noticed that there were some structures here, pretty large, that are created brand new each and every time you make a step. Just massive realux. So what I want to do is write this code a little bit different. And kind of kill two birds with one stone. So I know that I want some kind of creature ordering, reactant ordering, that makes it so certain creatures, certain types of creatures will typically move before others. And I don't want to do that sorting calculation every single time. And I also have a stack as part of the reaction. Reacting means just that all the creatures that are in the level respond or react to the player's last move. So I don't want this function here to continuously recreate the stack every time, or this processing info thing every time. I want to make these reusable values, and have them be a member of this class, like a class member variable. And yeah, okay. So let me think about the structuring on this. I'm probably not going to be very talkative. I end up talking more after I wake up a bit. But you can see what I'm thinking at this exact moment. Okay, and let's see, I want some kind of structure. Reactant stack. What are the operations used? All react, peak, peak, pop, push. Hang on, where does this truly go? Call when level is loaded, but where does reactant stack go? Does it go in board? Well, let's see, where is board reactants used? Is it just, these are all static members, so it kind of feels like it's a util class. Let's take a look. Board updater. Yeah, that's all it's doing. There's no instance of it. But I think it does go with the board. Because I'll need it for the predictive boards. Yeah. Okay. Oh, you know what? Here's what I should do. I can make a reactant stack not stateless, but so it doesn't need to have anything be preserved between the sessions where it's used, or so it'll be stateful, but it won't have like this sorted list. That'll be inside a board. I'm trying also to avoid having to sync the more complex structures between the boards when I do the predictions, which have 4 extra copies of the boards that are updated. So okay, let's say that board has sorted reactants, most reset sorted reactants. Okay. Set. Okay. The board has sorted reactants list. Board reactants has static reusable reactant stack. All right. hang on, I'll be back in 2 to 5 minutes. Mellow morning coding. Here we go. Okay. So it occurs to me that I should look at the other data structure to see if it should be folded in with this one in some way. I'm trying to remember what it does. I left reasonable comments for myself. But processing info, what is that? I think it's just whether or not we processed a reactant. Well, no, there's more here. What is that? Has it settled? Was there a previous blocking reactant? Okay. It does feel to me like all this stuff could go just inside of the reactant stack. Yeah, particularly when I'm performing an extra lookup here. Yeah, so the stack could be one item that has all this stuff and also the iReactant piece itself. Let me double check how it's actually used. Okay, I could combine some of these. Let's keep reactant processing info. It'll be this stuff. So, settle. Which will just settle the current, and it will set current reactant. set reactant at front of stack settled and pop from stack. Okay. What are the other things that happened? I thought there was something in here to just put soft line breaks in. Man, I'm sure I'm waking up still. Okay. Okay, so I feel like I do not want to mess with this logic in here. I mean, this is really nicely tested. It's fairly complicated, but it definitely works. I haven't had to touch it for like a year. Like there weren't any bugs in it, period. I wrote it. It worked. There probably is a bug in it someplace, but I haven't seen it yet. It lets creatures move together in formations instead of them bumping into each other when they're right next to each other. Kind of proud of that because it was a hard problem that I didn't solve with Drod. Okay, but let's not give up on this. The thing that I'll do is not try to abstract the individual operations. So like I was thinking of just using settle to handle this thing of that's below is done by setting this to has settled false or true, and also doing appropriate pushes and pops and everything. And I think I don't want to abstract that much. Let's just leave the reactant stack as being somewhat exposed. Maybe I'll change my mind halfway through. I don't know. Still, I got more work to do here. So how to get this? Okay, so The other thing I'm maybe struggling with a little bit is my serialization strategy for my predictive boards. Okay, this would actually handle all the logic, so that part's fine. I might need to use mutable linkage to serialize this. Alright, let's call this number 1. I'm going to rewrite number 2. Number 2. I'm starting to feel queasy about being semi-stateful inside a reactant stack. So this other way is like number 1, but sorted reactant list is kept in reactant stack, and board has a reactant stack member. Okay, so one thing I got out of working through this is that the serialization task I have for either of these approaches is the same, and both of them are kind of hard, or have to be done carefully. Okay, so this last little clause I wrote here is my realization that it's hard to do synchronization, or a little bit tricky, but I don't have to worry about synchronizing all the peaks, pop, and push related membership changes, because each time board updater runs the all react method, it'll call set or reset And then that'll mean that the sorted reactant list is the only thing that needs to be synced. And it's not actually mutable, which is great. Yeah, that's actually very helpful, because then I don't have to continuously call sync2, or I don't have to do any work when sync2 is called on the board for reactant stack, because it's immutable after the board load. And during the board load, this gets set. Only has to do one sync at the beginning. Okay, that's probably the way it's going to go. Now that I've said it out loud and I can see the code being written in my mind, it feels much cleaner than this stuff up here. And this is not even the sorted reactant list. This is reactant list. That's it. Could even just come from, I could pass in the board too. That would be fine. That's good. Okay. I really think that's how it's going to go. So then what does all react do? All react receives the board. The board is going to have the reactant stack inside of it. So this code up here is just grabbing that. I don't need a reusable variable in here, which are always kind of ugly and prone to problems. I'll give one more thought to, do I want to make these transactions expressed in a business logic way, just to encapsulate a little bit further? Alright, I have to consider one other thing. Okay, number 3. Same as number 2, but reactant stack is board reactants. Okay, but just use board reactants to hold the data. Its methods become board reactants, init reactant list. even say board, just pass in the board. All React. Okay. And board gets an instance of board reactants. Syncable. I think I like number 3 the best. Yeah. Because the reason why is I wasn't seeing a useful extra interface for the data. I mean, this would have been either, okay, so I was starting out, make it pure data, all of its methods, they just kind of shallowly manipulate the stack structure. That's fine, I guess. It's not adding a lot of value, and I thought, well, if I'm going to have this data structure, maybe I should encapsulate the main operations a little more. And then I thought of my eyes jumping back and forth between this code and all React that calls all of the stuff and the new encapsulation around operating these the reactant stack. I just saw my eyes jumping between those two source files a lot and needing the code in the other one to understand the other. It feels like they are particularly coupled, and they should be, and this isn't that large of a file anyways. If I felt there was a clear concept for the interface contract that didn't seem coupled to its use, then I would have been more inclined to go with number 2. But it seems like they're just like this. They're just all intertwined, and it's not that much code anyways. To split it up further is to obfuscate its meaning. I'll just use the existing class and just stop treating it like a static class. It will have its data with it. It'll be kind of that object-oriented type of a object where it's got methods that act on the data inside of it, instead of the more functional style where you pass the data to a function, a stateless function that operates on the data. Okay, got it. Number 3 is the one for me. So right before I do a kind of a substantial update like this, I definitely want to do a git commit. What is all the stuff I did? Oh, I know what. It was like a got rid of most math methods. That thing was silly. Arch brace, prefab. Top for blocks and Beards v checkers levels. That's about it. That's about it. Oh, right before changes to board reactants. All right. So let's start looking at some of these structures. We're going to go public, high reactant piece, reactant. It's going to be high syncable, board reactants. Then there will be stack. Call this unprocessed reactants. Then list. Okay, this will be reset stack reactants. Now let's see, unprocessed stack. Okay. That's fine. This will be okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and just make some constructors. Because if I make just a copy constructor here, it's going to be much simpler and efficient. So we say board reactants from. Okay. No, I deleted the wrong part. Okay, so for this we say reactant I think that works. Yeah. Alright, and the unprocessed stack. Can I just allocate? No, it doesn't work that way. Let me see if I can just copy across. Okay, that's not bad. Even though I technically don't need to set this because it's supposed to be ephemeral. I just want to make a proper copy constructor and not have exceptions to it, to what the expectation is of what it's supposed to do. So here I can just say return, well, it's worthy of a one-liner. New board reactants this. And here, since this is sort of my own standard, which is this whole syncable thing is built around how the game works, I don't mind coupling to the knowledge that the stack is ephemeral and this is immutable. It's sort of built into the assumptions of the interface that you know, I could take into account knowledge of that. So let's say I guess I'll make it easier for myself to read this. Okay. I can't do that. Oh, I thought that was a language specific thing. What about 1, 2? Okay, but if I take this out, well, okay. I'm just curious what warnings this will show and how much is based on syntax. No, it seems to not care too much. Okay. Okay, and then in iReactant, what was I calling it? Get React priority. I'm just thinking if I want to do like a enum. I do like the idea of an enum, so let's do that. Go. So let's say default, be right in the middle, early, very early, wait, very late. I think I should do it. Could this take me to the setting that would fix it? That would be great. Okay, let me fix a few of these things. Where are they? JetBrains preferences. Yeah, it's all in here. Okay. Enum members. I think let's change it Oh, wait a minute. Minus. Okay, say all upper. Add that. Camel case, I'll go ahead and take that out. Let's see what else. There's some that have been irritating to me. Okay, methods, upper camel case. Parameters. Save that. Okay, these are fine now. Let me see. What are the other ones that are always messing up on me? Not being named how I like. Okay, parameters. Lower camel case. And I want to allow for another kind, which is, okay, this one, underscore. Yeah, interesting. It's weird I have opinions on these things. Like, this feels much more right to me than this, and I can't express in a convincing way why. But my reasoning is, you've got an underscore, which allows you to use it's just, who knows why. Who knows why that makes sense to me. It's not something I would start an argument about. Okay. So the reason I like this underscore tolerant thing for parameters is that there's another warning that comes up that says you could be hiding a variable with the same name that's declared at the class scope. And in cases like that, I don't want to think up a clever new name for the local variable that's being used. I just want to make a quick different version of it. An underscore in front serves that purpose. I would like it if the if else would just allow putting double curlies on the else line. I suspect it's not going to let me. Let's see. That's fine. I'm glad it let me do this. I can't stand all the extra space that gets taken up by going down one. That's all good. That's good. Yeah, let's see. No. Oh, it's horrible. What kind of madman would do that? Yeah, I'll keep it with what it is. I think the way I actually do it, the way I want to do it, is different than what any of the options that they've got there. Is there a way to just disable some of these rules? Just say, just fucking let it be however it wants to be? It probably is, but there's so many options here. Compact, please. Can you make it more compact? Okay, like I want this to just be up here. One line. Oh, maybe it'll let me. No. Okay. Oh, this is the one I really wish I could change. The else on its own line offends me. I have to keep on fucking with it. Whitesmith can go to hell. Yes. Obviously. Obviously. Alright. Blank lines. Let that be. I think I've got that pretty much I want. Unless, is there something about else needing? Somebody just gave a heroic answer to one of my Stack Exchange questions. Or Stack Overflow questions. Okay, I think this is just removing lines. So clearly not the most important thing to worry about. But, oh my God, that's so nutty. No, don't do that. Don't ever do that. For my worst enemy. So, yeah, this is kind of, it's getting rid of some paper cuts if I can, because I have to continuously kind of fiddle around with the source to get it how I like it, and I see little squigglies on things that don't matter to me, where writers saying you should do it a different way stylistically, and I'm saying no, I'm fine with it. So as much as I can get writers to just kind of get in line with my own preferences, great. It also will help me because a lot of the recommendations it gives are actually good, and if I'm buried in a sea of kind of noxious nothing warnings about style, then it makes me miss the things it says that are valuable. I think I'm basically good with this stuff. Okay, I just don't, I don't think this is gonna... Oh, yes! This one has been bugging me for so long. Okay, catch on a new line. No. Finally. Oh, that's what. Oh. It's so weird how this is important to me. A lot of these conventions I adopted 4 years ago, and at that time they were not my conventions. I was learning JavaScript, and there was one engineer named Brett Ritter who really thought through the conventions that would be used stylistically in writing code, and a bunch of his ideas rubbed off on me. And one of them was, you don't want your code sparsely stretching out so that you have to scroll up and down a lot to see it, what it's doing. Thinking about it a little bit more, the long function pattern of writing functions, which is, everyone thinks it's terrible, and I tend to think like there's a good reason to use it at times. It's better supported by compact code. So conventional wisdom is, you've got a function that's got more than, say, 10 lines in it, it should probably be broken up into calls to multiple functions. And in that same camp are people that say, write self-documenting code where the names of functions describe the thing that's happening and don't rely on comments to say what your code is doing. I've never quite been 100% comfortable with that. It's like, I want good function names. I'll spend a fair amount of time thinking about a function name and what it should be called. But instead of having inside of the function everything calling another function, and that function name is used to describe what's supposed to happen, I'll prefer to have a comment header at the top of 4 or 5 lines of code saying, here's what it's doing. And then if it's truly a good reusable piece of code, I'll move it out to another function. If it's something conceptually very easy to express with a separate function, where the name of the function is easily describing what it does, so that it actually allows you to not go look at that function, then yeah, I'll put it in another function. But otherwise, have the guts just in a semi-long function. You can see it all in one place. You don't have to jump around. Yeah, and if you are going to do that type of coding, then compact syntax is your ally. Okay, that's made me weirdly happy to find that option. Okay, I'm starting to feel that the theme of this session, it is fix the things that are bothering me, and that is that's the original name of this backlog document. It came at a time when I was having these kind of feelings like the project was starting to feel like it was getting just a tiny bit out of control. And this is me circling back, fixing up some things that are bothering me, not letting the project get out of control. Okay. God damn, that was a lot. Okay. All right, so if I do that, then I gotta go fix some pieces that are reactant pieces. And it's going to be okay. So be all the ones that are marked red right now. Yeah, let's close some shit. Oh. Let's close all tabs to the right. Alright, then we go back up to here. Just open up all the ones that are in red that are now demanding that we say what is the React sequence. Yeah. Which one is this? Beard. Okay. Okay, bystander piece. Okay. It occurs to me that this probably becomes useful to me. Just thinking about levels coming up where the beards are in the mixed, which they're kind of like the enforcers or cops of the society, as well as bystanders. And the bystanders are kind of, like sheeple, going about their business and assigned tasks, and cutting through the crowd of bystanders are these more motivated and aggressive figures, the beards. And a simple way to express the difference is having the beards move ahead of bystanders. But let's keep them at default. And I think even I'll say for beards and beamers, okay, beamers it would make sense to have them move late because they're similar to chuckers. They will end up killing things by their movements. Okay, the beard will be normal. No, beard will be early. Okay. Bystander will be default or normal. Chucker will be late. Want them to be late so things like the beards can move into their path, and then they'll chuck a block at them, and then instead of the block whipping by them before they move into that square, the block will hit them right after they move into the square. It's a more interesting interaction, more intuitive interaction as well. Okay, heavy is also going to be one of these. Well, that's the thing. There's a little bit of personality to a heavy, that they could be a little slow. maybe beards would get in front of them. I'll let them be a default. Okay. Yeah, kind of liking this this new way of expressing a little bit of personality in the AI. Okay, Spiker. Where's the label? I'm trying to put it in the same place, each spot. Spiker will be early. And there might be advantages to even have it be very early, because that would give other creatures a chance to avoid getting in its path. So if the Spiker moves first. Anyways, I'll play with that later on the Spiker levels. Okay, so back to board reactants. Okay, so other stuff was in it. Well, just to make sure that it's in a good initial state, I can have board get passed in. Okay. Then let's get a list of all these. Say okay, piece groups, reactants. Get all, not just the live ones, all of them. Okay, so then here we say so this is an example of where the concept is real simply expressed, so I don't mind putting it in a separate function. So with this interaction with the function, it's so decoupled and simple and clearly expressed that tucking extra code inside of here, it is possible for me to look at this function and just at times ignore the code that's in here. I don't have to think about it. So it does have some value in refactoring to a separate function. Okay, so this will be okay, we'll create reset stack reactants, and this is enumerable. Reactant piece, reactants. Okay, this can be static, my favorite kind of method. For each reactant piece, a nice useful place to add a function that can be run for each level. So we'll say static by the way, if I say, can I get count from this? I don't think I can. Say using link, which means it's going to do some stupid iteration thing to figure it out. So what about board, piece groups, reactants, count? Get count? Okay, cool. Or I could just pass in. And it depends. Do we need a count here for capacity? Yeah, you can. Yeah, I can set the capacity here. Cool. Okay, so we'll do reactant count here, which is nice, and I don't have to have it, reallocating or adding new memory allocation as I go. I'll just do it one time at board load. Okay, so this is get all, get count, and then we'll pass in reactant count. Then I can also do a good cheap alloc here. Okay, then here I want to say, let's add all reactants at react, what's it, sequence, react sequence, add a certain react sequence to the stack, reset stack reactants. Well, not the stack, but the list. Okay. So for this, we'll go bam, like so. Let's see. If reactant get react sequence equals the one we passed in, then we'll go ahead and add it. This is just like a real simple way to sort the list. Okay, so then we say reset stack reactants, add new reactant processing info. Take that out. And this should be reactant equals reactant is settled, has settled equals false, previous blocking reactant equals null. What? all kinds of stuff down here that's messed up. Let me fix that. There we go. And then you're complaining about alright, let's see, what's the correct way to do it? Yeah, that seems right. I enumerable, but it's not I reactant piece. That's maybe the issue. Oh, I enumerable. I always get mixed up between those two. Okay, so you put the first ones in. Okay, yeah. A stack is a last in, first out. So to make it, you basically push them in the reverse order that you want them to be accessed. So last in is very late. Okay, I'm just gonna unwind the loop here because it's just more readable. Okay. This is another case where I'm just departing with some conventional wisdom. So I could have put for int I equals 0 to something and then add some constants like you know, first sequence number, last sequence number to declare the range. But this is readable. This is really easy to read. If I truly need to add more values in and have the code change to reflect it, it's going to be pretty simple. And I probably won't need to, so not worried. Return, reset stack. Okay. Alright, so that part's done. What's your complaint? No, because I'm going to make some stuff that actually uses it. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, you're actually probably right. Because the thing that uses it is this public method in isyncable. So a private constructor was a good idea. Thank you. Thank you, writer. Okay. Now what's the problem with this? Doesn't matter because I'm going to delete this. Okay. This will no longer be static. Let's just call static methods with this. I'll pass in just the params that I need. So I'll pass in reset unprocessed stack. Okay. And that means I'll get rid of that. That friggin' dictionary lookup, that's expensive. I mean, sure, it's a hash table and everything, but it's kind of ridiculous that I added that extra data structure in the first place. All right. This one is going to be the list. This one is going to be stack. Okay. Just in case it's not already clear, let's clear it. Let me just add in all the ones that are alive for each reactant, processing info, should be push. Okay, there we go. That's it for that. Now, since I made this non-static, I think I am interested in maybe refactoring some of this. Okay, so for example, this can be refactored. Any place where I'm saying reactants, I want to draw from the reset stack reactants list. Any place where I'm saying reactant stack or processing info, I want to use that new structure. So I think I'll create one static method that just moves. Okay, process reactants. And let's start with passing in the same stuff. And I've got a convention of passing in things that I'm going to change last. So for this, I want to pass in the unprocessed stack. Whoops, not that. This. Okay, then I'll just take all this guy. Put it up here. Okay. Get to do a pretty simple exchange here. Anything that says stack. Do that. Be a little bit careful with processing info changes. It doesn't work exactly the same as it used to. Okay, then that will have to change. Okay, so I'm not done with all this. But this one's pretty easy. So we'll say unstun reactants. Does it matter if they're alive or dead? I don't think it does. Okay, that fixes that. Let's come back up here. Okay. This is a little worrisome, because this means a lookup. Oh, dears. Now I'm understanding why I had the separate structure. Because looking up the processing info from the stack is kind of an expensive operation. Okay, I may want to bring back the processing info. One thing is that it can be created at one time at board load, and then it's just lookups to get the reactants. Yeah. It's a weird thing when you think you're smarter than an older version of yourself, and the older version was actually smarter. an earlier version of you was smarter than the current version of yourself. Because I guess I am an older version of myself, by one way of looking at it. But the earlier version of me, it was right on this point, at least. Okay, so before I just sort of lose what I was on the road to completing, let me see what else is gonna have to change. No, I think it's as simple as I just need to make the structure closer to what was there previously. So yeah. All right. Dang it. All right. So this is, I don't need this anymore. I understand it's internalized at this point. Let's see. So what is the design going to be? Get rid of that. Let's change this guy will be a reactant piece. Okay, then we will need again a dictionary. Reactant piece and reactant processing info. Call this processing info. And then we'll have list our reactant piece. Sequenced reactants, which is a better name than the reset stack reactants, because reset stack reactants says what it will be used for as opposed to what it is. And I think it's better to say what it is instead of what it's used for. One example where that name helps is if I come down to unstem reactants, I'm passing reset stack reactants. It makes it sound like I'm doing something related to resetting the stack when I call this, but in truth, I just want the list of reactants so I can use that to unstun them. So if this is instead called ordered or sequenced reactants, then it's less confusing when I read it. Okay, so I think I like this. My only qualm about the names at this point is this use of the term processing, which is just a tiny whiff of a code smell to me. It's a very vague name, like do shit, you know. But sometimes what you're doing is kind of hard to express with other verbs. Okay. So I will make these changes. Put that back how it was. Call this different thing. Call it sequenced reactants. Change this to be a stack of just the pieces. this name to reactant. Okay. Then I need this thing too. Stop. What do you think you're doing? Just stop. I don't like it when it starts spinning. I haven't actually asked it to do anything hard. Sometimes that means it's about ready to crash. Okay. Let's call this create sequenced reactants. What's the complaint? Oh. Oh yeah. Well, what's wrong with multiple enumeration though? Couldn't I just call it multiple times without issue? Yeah, but I don't. You're right, but. It's like they're right, but they're it's not worth making a warning over it. I am enumerating on both of them. But that is my intended design. Is there a suppress? Alright, I'm just not going to worry about it for the moment. You know, this is inefficient, but it's not that inefficient. And it's going to get called once at the start. Like if I put them all in some structure and then sorted them, would it really be that much more efficient to sort them? You know what? I'll try it. Okay. Sequence reactants sort. You have to write an I compare. Okay. Can I do it like as a delegate or like a lambda function? Okay, let's do okay, I'm getting off in the weeds because it's important to finish this whole thing. Make a sort with I compare while all the other parts are loaded into my head. I can come back to this at any time and refine it. Okay, so down here, got my reactant count. I've got my sequenced reactants equals great. Sequenced reactants. This will be unprocessed reactants. This will be reactant piece. Okay. And then we want dictionary, reactant piece, reactant processing info, create processing info, and then we'll take don't need a reactant count, so I've got it passed in the list. Okay, so, and actually it's not really going to help anyways with the dictionary. So for each iReactant piece, reactant, in reactants. This is one thing I think C# should have some better syntax for, where you just don't have to declare this again. Okay, so here we say processing info, add new reactant processing info. What's the issue? Okay, add, oh, you need a key. So we do reactant. There, like so. Okay, then just return it. And then I only have to create this one time, but I will need to reset it each time that all react is called. Okay, down here I've got a copy constructor to make. So this is unprocessed reactants from what? Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Thank you. Okay, sequenced reactant equals new list iReactant piece from sequence reactants. Okay, and I guess processing info I'll do 2. Let's just call this the general reset for processing. then we'll say and that it should always be present because of the initialization that was done prior inside of the constructor. Okay, so then RPI has settled equals false. RPI previous blocking reactant equals null. We'll just reset that. Okay. Up here we do reset for processing. And this will be sequenced reactants. This will be unprocessed reactants. This will be processing info. This will be unprocessed reactants, processing info, and this will be sequenced reactants. Okay, so I'm gonna come back up here. Where's the unstun? Might do the easy ones first. Unstun, where you at? There it is. Okay. Yeah, I could just say this is going to be reactants, because it doesn't need to know where the list comes from. And we'll just have this be that. That's simpler. And then come back up to process reactants. So this is going to be stack, my reactant piece. And then friggin' dictionary, my reactant piece. Yeah. Okay. What are you complaining about? I know, you're right. You're right. I'm doing my best though, man. There's just a lot of work to do. Oh, fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. I mean, I feel like this is kind of a placebo effect. Alright, yeah, I got distracted by a text. My wife did something I'm proud of. Okay, this is close to being done. I'm going to come back up to that to-do I gave myself. Let's do, I do iComparer, let's see, class, sequenced, reactant, comparer, iComparer. So I think it's iComparer. I'll know in a second. Okay. But let me check. Yeah, okay. So let's see what thing it wants me to add in. Yeah. Kind of like A and B. If A equals B, return true. So if it's just the same instance of the object, it's true. 0. Okay. If A equals null, I can't remember the numbers, how they work. Okay, I always forget. Compare, you return -1 or 1, but what does it mean? iComparer, C# example, okay. Alright, so if the first one is greater than the second one, then you return 1. First is greater than second, return 1, or it should come after. return 1, b equals null, return -1. Okay. Say if a equals null, or no, I got it mixed around here. Let's do if b equals null, or a get react sequence is less than b get react sequence, return 1. What is your complaint? Not really, because up here I checked for a equaling b. So if b was null, and a was not equal to b, a could not be null. So in this case, I'm smarter than the compiler. But okay, you fucks. Let's do it your way. We will put this stuff down here. Okay, let's do the null checks up above. Okay. If okay, then we return 1. Down here we'll say, actually let's do 0 first, then return a get react sequence is less than b get react sequence. I want this to be somewhat efficient, so let's go ahead and get the numbers pulled over. React sequence a equals a get react sequence. You know what? Just let the compiler optimize for me. Okay. So 1 or -1. There we go. Now I'll take a quick look at this to see if I can write it a little bit nicer. I think I can. I can do. No, that's pretty tight. Can this be static? Can it be static? Really? I gotta instance this fucking thing? There's no reason. Come on. Alright. Stupid ass fucking piece of static sequence. Because you're passing the two things right here. It's dumb. It's dumb. Somebody made a bad decision. Let's go ahead and just load these guys in directly. Nah, let's do it differently. Okay. Sequence reactants. Does sort in place, or does it return? Sorts in place. Okay. So it means I have to add the membership into this array before. Okay. Do you have something just to add everything? No. Okay. Was there another method? Don't get me wrong. I can add it in. Yeah, there we go. Add range. Okay. Let me say sort sequenced reactant compare, and that should do it. Now, I believe, and I don't know, could be wrong, this is more efficient to initialize it with the reactant count, because otherwise all it has is the IEnumerable, and it would have to iterate over it just like I did. No, it would have to iterate over it to learn the number of reactants, or it would have to do like a continuous allocation as it went along. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It seems like it's more efficient to initialize it this way with the known reactant count. And this will sort, and it gets rid of that warning message. Okay. The next thing is to hook this into the board. Make it private. Okay, I don't get all the No, there's stuff down here to add to the board. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go pee. So I'm gonna take just a tiny break, make myself a little lunch snack, and I'll be back 10-15 minutes. to work. Back to work. Okay, what was I doing? I was thinking about where exactly does board reactance get set? So if I say init, the pieces are not necessarily added yet. It's in board loader. There's a way that I can avoid having like a special method that the board loader calls to complete initialization. I can do a kind of a late load type of a thing. So if I have my all react method here, say if board reactance equals null, board reactance equals new, board reactance, pass in this, the board, and it will initialize it. Then this needs to also, oh man, I don't think there's anything in here currently for effects. And that's how I want it. Yeah, okay. So it's not a good decision to have all react inside of board. Think about this. Okay, I'll have board loader get it and set it. I will create a init board reactance thing. Okay, I didn't want to do this, but it's gonna be okay. So if I go to board loaders, board loader, there's a big old load method. Okay, we got different things here, load for this and that. Here's the main work. Here's the main, I don't have the right terminology, but this is the main thing right here. The main function that does the work. Okay, then you add the pieces. Right, then you say I want some other name for this thing. Let's call it init reactant processing. And then I'll call this something else. I'll call it reactant processing. I can probably rename this to the class since it has a very specific purpose. It's not just for keeping track of reactants in general. Let's see. Another way to do this is, okay, we can do board reactants, get reactant processing, then, okay, this is the way to do it. Return reactant processing. Okay, this is the best of both worlds solution that I wanted. That way I won't have an explicit initialization for it, but as soon as you need it, it'll be there for you. Not important at all. Okay. So I say that. Then I can take this out. Okay. Okay, what else? Inside a board, I need to have the syncable interface there. So there's one called create copy. Okay, cool. I think this will be okay because no, okay. I'll get it so that it oh man. If I'm creating a copy, it's going to be linked to the wrong stuff. Okay, so I think the way to do it is to let it build the board reactants structure on its own instead of creating a copy from the other one. And that way I don't have to do mutable linkage. Because right now, create copy is going to be copying to the new instance of itself references to these other pieces that are not going to be in the yeah. Okay. Or I could add immutable linkage. How hard would mutable linkage be? Okay, this is going to be tough. Yeah, because you're creating just copies, but they are they're going to be wrong. They'll have instances that aren't available on the board in question. Let me just yank this. No syncing. Don't need it. Okay, other thing is I'm going to make this reactant processing. Maybe a reactant processor. Okay, let's do that instead. That's nicer. Okay. Rename this guy. This is okay. This is not called. Don't need it anymore. Delete. Okay, and then back to board. Let's make this make this one non-serialized. That. Board updater now needs some help. We'll say board get reactant processor all react. That might work. Boy, that was a lot of changes. That was a lot. Okay. So what I want to do now is follow this through and see how it does. I'll start with that. Let's put breakpoints on the top level. Okay. It's not bad. It's pretty big module here in terms of everything it does for the game, but it's neatly organized. It's down to 126 lines of code. Happy with that. Pretty easy to understand for me. yoink this. And we'll come back and test it out. So what I would like to do is make sure no predictive stuff is on to begin with. So let's go to the player guide, turn off predictions. So I won't have to deal with, at least initially, seeing like 5 different runs on the board. I'll just have one main board to look at. Okay, let's save and then play. Okay, so it did a late initialization. It waited for me to press the button to move. Now it is for the first time setting all this up. So reactants, there's 11. Interesting. So reactants, it knows that there's 11. But there is no count that's accessible to IEnumerable. Alright, so that's internal. So me getting the count is probably a good idea. Create sequence reactants. Okay, so this should be empty, but with a capacity of 11. And then we're going to add in reactants. There should be 11 in there now. Okay, let's see how they're sorted to start. Unfortunately, the beard pieces are all at the beginning. Oh, but we actually want it to be reversed. So this is good. Perfect. That's it. And that's the last time for the level load I have to do that work. So it's more efficient than it was previous. I can think of a more efficient way to initialize the stack, though. Because it's probably got a copy constructor. And if I keep a copy of the stack in its initial state, and no, because then I have to do allocations. Yeah, I just don't think there's any method on a stack that says make it be the same as another stack without performing allocations. So I'm sure there's a copy constructor, I think, but that implies allocations. Okay. Let's dive into here. Oh, come on. No. Okay, create processing info. So here we just say, let's take the reactants we've got, 11 of them, and make sure that in processing info there is something to represent them. Okay, processing info, count 0. I don't think it had a thing to initialize at capacity. Yeah, this should be fine. Okay, and this is just initialized to capacity. Okay, so that should give us a healthy reactant processor. Looks good. Okay, now we're here. That is 11, right? Yeah, I'm worried about it being 12. 11, okay, cool. Good, non-null. So I can remove these and then looking at those. Okay, this should be fine. Hopefully that's a super cheap thing to call compared to the allocation. Okay, here's one thing where I might be screwing up with my algorithm. I should assume the key is always there. Also, I see some inefficient code here. I'm doing a lookup 2 times. So that can be cleaned up. It looks still correct to me, though. Has not settled yet. Okay. Got that settled. Yeah, it looks like it's going to do fine. So the ones it's getting first are beards, which is as intended. And the chuckers will be at the end. All right. I did not see any evidence of an error. Of course, the chuckers are not moving. All right, there's some issues. Oh, wait a minute. Now I'm unsure. I might have to restart that and double check how it worked. It seemed like they were all just sort of stuck off to the west and they didn't move until after I died or something like that. These guys seem like they're doing fine. So there was one weird thing at the beginning. All right, my wife just made a small request that I'm going to help her with, and I will be back in such a small amount of time. You won't even believe it. Back to it. Whew. So first thing is, let's clean up this junky bit of code here. This will always be true. Wait a minute. Okay, processing. This can just go away. Yep. Okay. And I'm going to follow my own convention of insisting on indenting down if there's two statements on the if. Should be pretty stable. Let me try it again. I felt like I saw something weird at the beginning. I don't know. No, they're lined up good right now. No, that's working. Maybe that was just a little brain glitch of mine. I guess I can always go back earlier on the stream to see if it was real. But this looks like I got in, made changes to the engine, rebuilt it a little bit, and it just works like it did previous, which was my aim. Killed some of those guys. Okay. All right, that's a win. Do I want to keep going? At some point, I need to sort of knock off and just put the build together. I could finish up this level, then put the build together. I don't know. I think I'm gonna stop here. I might do some more work. Well, I will do some more work. I'm just not sure if I'll come back on and stream it. I might just do it all off stream. So if anyone's with me now, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. If anyone's watching this on the replay from YouTube or Twitch, I hope you got something out of it. And yeah, I asked for nothing of you. Do you notice that? I'm not saying that I want you to subscribe or follow or +1 or like. I don't fucking care. This is a ritual I do to get the game done. That's what it is. First and foremost, get the friggin' game done. And it helps me a little bit towards that end. All right, stopping the stream.